friends, my name is Nate Douglas. I'm the executive director for the Perry Center, and you're listening and watching the Perry Center podcast where life meets life. I'm very excited for this episode, and I say this every episode because I'm excited about everything. But we have a former resident from 1995. Great year, 1995. So Jessica is here, and her daughter Asia, born in 95 or 96?
95.
1995. So welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
We connected through social media, Facebook, and you've kind of been watching what's been happening at the Perry Center, and you sent a message, and we kind of connected. You guys have done a tour and walked through our new facility, and so just how awesome this 95 was before my time at the Perry Center, and I think this is such an awesome legacy piece to share your story. And 1995 there weren't podcasts to share your story or testimony, and so I think this is an awesome moment to just share your life and where God has brought you and where you are now, and so tell me a little bit about life prior coming to the Perry Center. What was it like?
My mom worked a lot, so I spent a lot of time by myself. So then you try to find things to do outside of the home. Mm-hmm. I was at the college, I think, for it was like a band concert type thing when I was in high school, and that's where I met her dad, and then we started talking after that, and that's kind of how life began with her. But I went to high school in a small town, and then so when we went to Wapton, it was a bigger city, and there were more people and more things to do.
Yeah.
More trouble to get in.
More trouble to get in. So rural North Dakota is kind of your upbringing. And so as you connected with Asia's father and things progressed, I mean, eventually you found out you were pregnant, mm-hmm. right? What was that like? So you were a teenager, right?
Oh yeah, I was really young.
Okay.
I think at that time I was 15. I kind of had a feeling that I was pregnant. I just have really good intuition about my body. I did find out, I took a pregnancy test at a basketball game at the science school one night, and it confirmed that I was pregnant.
And so the initial thoughts, like...
I didn't know what to think. I thought it wasn't real, and I didn't think that it could ever happen to me because I really wasn't taught about stuff like that, except, at our church. Mm. I grew up Catholic, so we had to take care of an egg in the 6th grade.
Okay.
I mean, so that was about the extent of my, stuff like that. But
now they have simulation dolls, and we'll jump into a quick story. So the Perry Center, we have a simulation doll, and so you're able to program it, and I'm sure maybe you've seen this in the field that you work in as well. Well, you see the real ones all the time.
Yeah, I see the real ones. I don't really see very many simulation dolls, though.
And so I still see, so we're 2026, I still see students carrying flour, like the flour bags. And I'm like, guys, we could come over to the Perry Center. We'll get you some simulation dolls. I think there was a school actually probably around your area that the students were walking around with the dolls with no batteries in it. And so they were like, yeah, we don't put batteries in it. And well, then you don't get the real experience. Yep. So same with the egg. You did the best that you could.
Yeah.
So you found out you're pregnant, couldn't believe it. I mean, obviously probably needed to talk to your mom.
Oh, right? I didn't. I kept it a secret for a long time.
For how long?
About 4 months.
4 months.
Yep.
And there wasn't any any questioning, anything like that?
No, because I was small, so I could hide it well.
I can't keep a secret to save my life.
Well, that was a secret I didn't want people to find out about, because the place where I grew up at the time also was, it's a small town, so everybody talks about everybody, and then also the fact that she was biracial was also a huge thing there. So, no, I I kept it a secret as long as I could. And then one day I had to go to the doctor. I had a urinary tract infection, and the doctor called my mom over, and that's when she found out.
Oh no. How did that go? Was it rough?
She was just disappointed, heavily disappointed in me, because I was a pretty good student and I was smart and I had goals and stuff in life.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that adds just a whole nother layer, right? When you're already facing something that is terrifying. You're at a young age, and then you look to your parents for help, and then that feeling of disappointment and letting people down, just it adds layers. And I hear it every single day here. Asia, you work at the hospital, so you probably hear that stuff on a regular basis as well. So that kind of brings you to a decision, right? What is your plan? Where are you gonna go? Is mom like, hey, I can't deal with this kind of stuff. I don't know what to do. Like what brought you to the Perry Center?
I think that she couldn't handle the pressure. She worked in a customer service setting, so she worked with the community as well. So I think it was just answering questions to people and people being nosy, and I think that was a lot of it, and I just don't think that she knew how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So
So how did you find the Perry Center then?
she must have looked it up in the Yellow Pages. That's the only thing that I can think of.
For our young listeners, Yellow Pages. I feel like we have to go into like what Yellow Pages are. Phone book. Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
Okay. Found it and just made a phone call.
Yeah, and she told me, this is where you're going, and I didn't want to go. I was scared. I was like, why are you sending me? Then I started thinking, why are you sending me away, you know? Like, now you don't want me. I was feeling things like that at that time.
Yeah. So 1995, our building would have been up by NDSU campus. Does that
Yeah, it
sound
was
about
right behind the turf.
Yeah, right behind the turf. That's right. And so what was your experience? You came to the Perry Center 1995. What was that process like?
It was like moving into a whole new world. I mean, I was with girls that were in their 20s, and then I was with another girl that was my age. I think she was from Williston. So, I mean, there was a whole range of girls, all kinds of ages, but we were all so close, and we all got along so well. And they let us leave at that time together, so we'd take our daily trips to Taco John's and...
Naturally.
You know?
Yeah.
So... It was a family. I really liked it there because I finally felt like my mom was gone a lot and they were home a lot. They were home all the time. Somebody was always there, so I always had somebody
to talk to,
Yeah.
someone, that would have been, Pat Larson and maybe Jody Clemens.
I talked to Jody a lot.
Yeah, talked to Jody a lot. And walking you through this pregnancy, right? And so you were learning lots of things. Were you doing schooling as well?
So they had a tutor that came in. So that's how I finished that portion of my school year. And then we had to take classes and stuff like that I don't know if we really earned anything back then, but they just wanted you to have the classes, which nobody was opposed to it. I think that was standard for going there at the time.
Yep.
There were no incentives. You're here.
They probably didn't have the baby boutique like we do now, and this Earn While You Learn program, which is very common across the United States now for a lot of different organizations. And so when you went through the program at the Perry Center, you eventually left and had Asia. And what was that process? Single mom, what did that look like for you?
Well, I mean, it kind of changed my whole outlook on like teen pregnancy altogether. Having her obviously changed my whole life, but I felt like if I could do it, anybody could do it, because I was underprivileged as well. Like, I grew up with a single mom, so it was difficult, but I had a community that actually stood behind me. So the lady that took care of me when I was little watched my kids when they were little, and she was like their grandma. So I was able to go back to school right away.
Yeah. So were you able to finish high school?
Yeah, so my mom, when I got home from the hospital, she's like, well, you better go bring your books to the high school. They're calling, you know. And I was like, okay. So I drove to the high school and I walked in there and I'm like, I can't do this. I got to finish. I'm not going to quit. So
Yeah.
I re-enrolled and I said I'd be there. And so I found daycare for her and I finished.
You did it.
I did.
And for reference, my birthday is August 25th, so like beginning of the fresh school year too.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a lot. Yeah. So at what point did you, obviously walking through it alone is really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Came to the Perry Center, had an amazing time at the Perry Center, had Asia, went back to school, finished school.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout this process, and it could be years later as Asia's getting older, what would you say was probably the most difficult part?
Well, at that time, I think the most difficult part was giving up a lot of who I was as a kid. I mean, I was going into my junior year in high school when I had her, so I didn't get to do a lot of things that everybody else was doing, so I lost a lot of my childhood.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel like you, at a young age, I mean 15, did you feel a lot of pressure from the outside or family that was like, hey, you should get an abortion, or you should create an adoption story, or any of those things? Did you feel a lot of pressure when it came to decision making?
My mom gave me 2 decisions. I mean, like she didn't give me 2 decisions to make at that time because there was obviously 3, but she did bring up, you have the option of abortion, there's adoption, and I was like, I'm not doing either.
Okay.
And I didn't even know how I was going to do it at the time. I just knew that I would never be able to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And some of the teenagers that we work with here, the youngest we've ever worked with is age 12. And, we've had 14, 15, 16, all that stuff. And some of those girls coming in are some of the most determined women that we work with, mm-hmm. that they're highly motivated. They want to, school, I'm going to get it done. I can parent my child. And they are crushing life and mm-hmm. still crushing life. And it's just so interesting because the outside world says, you're too young. You can't do this. Mm-hmm. It's not possible that you can do this. Mm-hmm. Look at all of the barriers you're going to face. Like, they're trying to raise those barriers even more. And so I love people like you that are just like, this isn't how it's going to go.
Well, I don't like to be told what to do either. So I was like, if they're going to tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So.
That's also, yes, that's how we parent sometimes. You can't do it. You can't clean your room. It's not possible. Mm-hmm. I'm going to clean my room. Yep. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That still doesn't work. So Asia, you're born, you're living life. Was there any point that you kind of looked at your life as, man, my life is a little different than what I'm seeing around me? Did you have any experiences like that?
So, yes. Growing up in Lidgerwood, I was one of 2 black people in the whole town. And the other one was 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years older than me. So I didn't know her personally. So I thought, like, being biracial was, like, rare. I was like, nobody else is like me. This is so weird. Like, because I grew up in an all-white community. And then also having a single mom, like, I feel like in Lidgerwood, it's very Christian. So it's very much the standard nuclear family of mom, dad, kids. And I grew up with my mom and my grandma and my siblings. And then when we moved to Wapaton when I was 12. And I went through just like a massive culture shock because I realized I'm, first of all, not the only black person.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that rare.
Right.
And just like going from being in Lidgerwood where you can walk everywhere, like it's a small town, everybody knows everybody. I had 19 or 20 kids in my class to going to a class of 105. Like, it was very jarring. But I think, like, my relationship with my mom is like the only reason that I was able to get through. I wouldn't say I was an easy child to raise. I definitely gave her a run for her money, and I'm getting karma back for that, so that's been fun. But I remember her telling me like she could never keep babysitters because I was a terror. And then I think just when we moved too, I was so overwhelmed by everything and like all the new experiences that it like the terror just kept going into my teens, and I was just a wild child in my teens. But I also I had the ability to be too because I didn't have anything weighing me down either.
Yeah.
It was one of my main goals in life to not become a teen mom because that's all we had for moms in our family. So I was the first one in our generational line to not be a teen mom.
First generation. That's amazing.
Yeah. I had my first at 22, so.
Yeah, that's incredible. Wow. Was there ever a point that, I mean, it could be even now, it sounds like you and your mom hang out a lot and talk a lot, and I love that. Have you ever like looked back and been like, man, my mom went through a ton and life was really hard, and you know, at what point did you start recognizing that?
I think around the time I had my first, because I was married when I had my first son. And I tell people all the time, I am not cut out to be a single mom. I am very spoiled. And I think about like how spoiled I am with having a partner that's very involved in our kids' lives. And then thinking back, like my mom had to do all of this by herself and work, and like she had her village, but like still, like it was all on her. She had 3 kids by what, 23? So she had all of us and she was by herself. And I think like I always like had a soft spot for that, but it didn't like really set in until I was actually at home taking care of my own kids. And I was a stay-at-home mom for 4 years, so I just like remember feeling so lonely, like as a stay-at-home mom, taking care of my kids. And I'm like, this must have been like what she felt like all the time for years. And yeah, so it really didn't like settle in until I actually had to bring a baby home and take care of him myself.
Yeah. Wow. Jessica, so you've lived a hard life.
Very.
And you've gone through a ton of things, you know, unplanned pregnancy, Perry Center, all of those things. What does life look like now? I mean, we're past 1995. We are sitting in 2026. How would you say your life is different? And what are the things that you are striving for? What are those celebrations, those things that are just very different in your life?
Well, I have money now, which not a lot, but I mean, I can pay my bills, which I couldn't back then.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less stressful as far as kids go. I still have kids at home, which after 30 years, I'm very looking forward to them moving on and having their own lives.
Yep.
You can't get rid of us.
But
I
yeah.
live next door, and I am 30 years old.
Neighbors.
Yeah, so she lives next door, and I still have 3 at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're busy. She's got one. I've got 2 grandkids, 2 step grandkids, and then she's got 1 on the way, and then my son has 1 on the way in about a month and a half here. So it'll be busy. My life has changed a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot different than what it was. We were living really bad, and we just weren't living the way we should have been living either. I've learned a lot, even in the past year, about like what I have done to my kids. So it's a lot of guilt. But
Yeah, and it sounds like you are attending a church and you know who Jesus is. Tell me a little bit about that. How's that been transforming your life?
that's the emotional part. So she doesn't like really know a lot about our church because it's completely different than the way that she's like her church and the way that I raised her.
Yeah.
I grew up Catholic,
Yeah.
and my kids attend Catholic church,
Okay.
and
Yep.
I practice Catholic faith, so she's Pentecostal,
Yeah.
so it's pretty drastically different.
Very, like, on the spectrum, yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So obviously I was Catholic when she came along. I didn't feel the fruits of the Spirit when I was raised that way. And I didn't have a relationship with God because I didn't know who he was. I knew that there was a God and I knew that there were all these things, but I didn't think it was reachable because I was raised like, well, if you sin, you got to go tell this guy that you did something wrong, so then he'll go tell Jesus. And so it was just kind of a thing in my mind where I tried to privatize my life and my prayer life. So like starting this church, you don't privatize your prayer life. It's like open worship. So it's changed my life. It's changed my husband's life completely. It's changed our kids' lives. The ones that are, you know, that see.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I love that, just how a life shift, you know, seeing how you were raised and what you went through and kind of where you're at now and what you're celebrating. Life is still very hard and very difficult. We know that. But knowing that you have a relationship with Jesus and you know him and you love him and he loves you. And I think that's super special.
I've got a really good teacher. Our pastor is a very good teacher. And I think what I needed...
Pastor Andrew, right?
Yeah, I think what
Shout
I
out.
needed most of everything was a family that I felt that loved me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Having a community to support you, come alongside you, and you've been through a lot. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. So, Miss Asia, you have a unique job, and
I do.
I think it's really amazing how you looking at your life and your upbringing and what you've experienced kind of pushed you into the medical field a little bit too.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So my mom always wanted to be a labor and delivery nurse. She told me that my entire life. We watched A Baby Story on TLC all the time, and I think being the oldest of 5 kids, like I was around babies all the time. So it just felt natural. And then when I was 12, I got the opportunity to watch the delivery of my little brother, and it just took something in my brain. I'm like, this is it. Like, I get why people do this now. Like, the nurses really did not want me in that room. They really tried to get me out of there. And
How
I'm
old
like,
were you?
I was 12.
You were 12. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like shoulder to shoulder with the doctor as she was pushing. And I'm like, this is the single most coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I got to cut the cord. I stayed with her for her.
12? That's amazing. That's so terrifying too.
Yeah, I loved it. It was absolutely amazing. He and my brother and I had a really close relationship growing up, and I think like his delivery definitely made a difference because like it's so different when you watch them come into the world, like versus just seeing them once they're out. And I tried nursing school multiple times, I think 3 or 4. I couldn't pass anatomy, so I kept quitting. And then I think my daughter was 1. And I happened to read a text message thread between my mom and my husband because I said, I think I want to go back to school. And they were talking to each other and they said, no, I don't think she can do it. She has 2 kids. She's stressed out. She's a stay-at-home mom. She doesn't need to go back to school. And I think it was like mid-December, and I started that spring in January. I got everything I needed to be able to start. And I mean, it's a little bit spiteful, but I've continued to just like rack up degrees now because they told me I couldn't. And I was like, don't tell me what I can and can't do. I'm
So
gonna do
just as I was talking to your mom, she's like, "Don't tell me what I can't do." I wonder where you got that from.
I know,
wonder
it's
where
crazy.
that stubbornness is coming from.
Yeah, so I've been in school actually since 2021. I'm still in school.
Okay. And what are you pursuing right now?
Right now I'm finishing up my bachelor's. I first started out getting my LPN just because with kids it was the most logical transition. I worked in long-term care for 2.5 years, and then I graduated with my RN. I knew immediately that I wanted to apply into one of the birth centers. So I applied to both, and I got hired at Sanford, which I was like so stunned because I had always been told labor and delivery is extremely difficult to get into, especially if you don't have any hospital experience, which I didn't. So I've been working there. It'll be a year in June, and then I graduate with my bachelor's in August. My due date is September 1st, so it's going to be a busy summer.
Yep.
And then I'm hoping to apply into a midwifery program. Actually, it's a dual program, midwifery and women's health, by like 2028, 2029.
Yeah.
And then hopefully do midwifery
Yeah.
so I can be a part of many more births.
Yeah. That's amazing. Jessica, she's driven. She's driven. And I love that you set your mind to something and you don't just go for it. You're like, you exceed it.
Yeah.
Also adding this and this and this. And
Yeah,
that's amazing.
my class actually walks for graduation in May, and I chose not to walk this time. I'm like, I've already done it twice. I don't need to do it a third time. I'll just do it for my master's now.
Yeah.
So I'm not walking with my class, but I'll still have my bachelor's pin and all that stuff, and I'll just have a baby a few weeks later.
I love it. I love it. So obviously, for HIPAA and all that stuff, you can't share stories and all of that. Completely understand. But with your upbringing and understanding of teen pregnancy, mom experience, grandma, all of those single mom things, and now you're sitting in delivery rooms. Has there been those experiences that you're able to carry over and connect with someone that maybe is facing that in a labor room?
I actually don't work in the labor
Okay.
side. I work on postpartum.
Postpartum, okay.
So I feel like it's definitely vulnerable in the labor side, and it definitely, they need their support too. But I feel like they almost need more support on the postpartum side because then there's actually a baby to take care of. They just need a lot more help. And I made the decision in January to not train onto labor until after maternity leave, which I was really devastated about at the time. But now once I've come to acceptance of that, I just adore being on the postpartum side. You get to connect with those moms in a way that nobody else does. You're helping them in those vulnerable times when they're up late, bawling their eyes out because they're bleeding from places that they didn't expect to bleed from. And you have stubborn babies that don't want to latch, and they're starving, and they're overwhelmed, and they don't know what to do. And sometimes they don't have support, sometimes they do. And just to be able to look at those moms and tell them, hey, I've been there. I know what you're going through. It's tough, but you'll get through it. I don't think that becoming a parent gets any easier. Every labor and postpartum experience is difficult in its own way. And no matter how close you have your kids together, things change. Research changes, protocols change. So I don't know, it's just interesting to be able to help somebody, whether it's their first baby or their 12th baby.
Yeah.
And we do get that wide range. We see anything from, I think that since I've been there, the youngest patient I've personally seen is 15. But then recently I took care of somebody that was like 43.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and sometimes in their 40s, they're on their first baby, and you have to teach them the same information that you taught to the 15-year-old
Yeah.
2 doors down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that I say often at the Perry Center is we are this life transformation program, and that takes time. That takes investment. Mm-hmm. It's not a 30-day, 60-day thing. And honestly, the pregnancy piece, I can't say this too loud because we have expecting moms in here, but the pregnancy piece is probably the easiest part. It's what happens afterwards. Mm-hmm. That's where it gets really challenging, really difficult. And so for us as an organization, when we can say, we're here, even after baby is born, long term, mm-hmm. we're going to come alongside you, help you understand those things that you have been teaching in the hospital, but also creating a space for them to get ready to work again and find childcare and all of the really difficult pieces. I mean, the world is not designed for single moms. And so we're able to help them with the practical things, the tools, so that they mm-hmm. can be successful. And I know, I think that's a piece that people forget, especially like even in the pro-life world. You know, we're here for baby and mom, and there's so many people like, okay, baby's born, hooray, we did it. And it's like, no, like that's a part of it. We got to come alongside this mom. She needs so much support, mm-hmm. so much help. And this is where, you know, churches and mentors and small groups get involved here. So you've had an opportunity, both of you guys, to kind of walk through the Perry Center, the new space, mm-hmm. and kind of reconnect to our ministry a little bit via church and just personal lives. And, you know, what are some of those things, and obviously maybe you don't know everything about the Perry Center, but what are some of those things that excite you about the Perry Center now? And you kind of have an interesting look at like 1995 to where it is now, but even Asia, you can jump into what are some of those things that interest you, that excite you about the Perry Center?
I think it's great that you guys are letting the moms stay here with their babies. I don't think that was possible back when I lived there. I think once the baby was born, they didn't house babies.
Yeah.
So then you were really on your own. So like they gave you all that support, which was great. But then once you left there, you were kind of on your own. You had to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good that these girls have that to look forward to. So they're not, how do you say it? Like not looking forward to the day that their baby is born. It should be an exciting time, you know, and I think that lifts some of the stress off them so they can enjoy that. I think that's super important.
Yeah.
I was so stressed out raising kids that I didn't even get to enjoy it. So.
Yeah.
That's how I felt too with my first two. And so I was younger, not as young as my mom, but I was 22 and 24 when I had my kids. And I feel like I was so stressed out and like worrying about doing everything the right way and the way that I should, and worried about not screwing them up, that I didn't enjoy them as babies and them as toddlers. So like now having a baby at 30, like I have such a different outlook on trying. I mean, I've had an awful pregnancy so far, but trying to find like the bright side of like every day that I get to keep carrying this baby, and that like exciting moment of bringing them home and really soaking in like every single moment of them as a baby and their upbringing.
Yeah.
I'm sure this baby's gonna get a very, very different mom than my first two got, but
survival mode kicking in, and yeah, now
I had 2 under 2 the first 2 times, so it really was just trying to get through the day.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what we're trying to do here, is just create that space where pregnancy isn't a burden, it isn't a disease or anything like that, but really coming alongside them. And you know, I can't imagine going through an unexpected pregnancy by yourself and then not having a support group, maybe not even a mom or any family members, and even income or criminal history, or there's so many dead ends for the population that we serve. And the fact that you had your mom to come alongside you a little bit,
She took care of us.
that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big deal. We have residents that don't have any of that. And so they are literally all by themselves. And so we have to create a space for healthy decision making, create a space where they can feel like I can do this. I have all the baby items I need from all of you guys that send diapers and wipes and all that stuff. They have everything that they need right here. And then they have caseworkers literally 50 feet away from them that can help with, okay, let's talk about schooling. Let's talk about job. Let's talk about childcare. And there's a baby crying right now. And this is our lives, but we're creating a space for them to be successful and not just send them out in the world and say, good luck.
I think from my perspective too, in the hospital, that's what I see is just like their support that they get. Like, there's a lot of the patients that I've taken care of don't have any family. They're there by themselves, and then they have a Perry Center staff member that stays with them through labor and gets them settled on the postpartum side, and then checking in with them each day that they're at the hospital and picking them up and giving them a ride back here. So I see that from my perspective on that end, and it seems like when I've seen the interactions that those girls just feel so comfortable. And I mean, that's so important when you're feeling vulnerable to be with somebody that makes you feel comfortable, especially when you're going to the hospital surrounded by strangers.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a unique situation. When I deliver, I'm not going to be surrounded by strangers. I'm going to be surrounded by my friends, but that's not the norm for people giving birth.
Yeah, just recently, I mean, we had a mom give birth, and she didn't have anybody. And we had our caseworker in there for 2 days, and it was a tough delivery. But, I mean, to have someone that you kind of know but don't know that says, hey, I'm going to be here. And if it's 48 hours, I'm going to be here for 48 hours. I think that's incredible and speaks volumes to who we are as an organization. And I think we are starting to see even more of that, where residents are like, hey, I'd love my caseworker in the delivery room. I'd love my mentor in the delivery room. And so I'm sure you can't wink, nod, or anything like that, but I'm sure when you walk through the Perry Center, you're like, yep, I've helped you, I've come alongside you. And so I love that that you get to see it from a different level than a lot of people.
Yeah. And I know as nurses, we try to support people as much as we can, but we're limited to our 12 hours.
Right.
If you don't deliver in that 12 hours, then I'm probably not going to be at your delivery.
Even if you want to. I've seen nurses like, I really would love to stay for this.
Some stay. If they're like pushing, they'll be like, hold on, I'll be there in a minute. And then they stay for the whole thing.
That's
but
amazing.
I mean, if you're in early labor, like we can't stay there with you for 2 days, like somebody else would be able to. So it's nice that they have support. And I know on our unit, they try to do continuity of care as much as possible. So if you're there for multiple days, they try to give you the same day shift nurse and the same night shift nurse, so that you're building on those relationships and you're able to be comfortable and ask for help and stuff like that. So I always enjoy getting to go back to work the next day knowing that I can build upon the education that I've already given, and I know the foundation that's been laid already, and we can work together on how they can be successful going home.
Yeah.
And there's definitely people I've had to help where they don't know how to change a diaper. They don't know how to put a onesie on. They've never given a baby a bottle. Like, we really have to teach them, like, down to the very, very basics of taking care of a baby.
Yeah.
and then to try to make them confident in doing that going on after they leave, because we only get them for a max of 72 hours.
And then send them out.
And then they're out in the world.
It's such a terrifying thing. I remember as a dad, first-time dad, this was almost 16 years ago at this point, and that was a weird thing. Like, we had a support system, and me and my wife went through it all, and we had our daughter, and then like 2 days go by and they're like, all right, see you later. And I remember walking to the parking lot like, this is really weird. Like, we have a baby right now. I can't believe they let us do this. And that was, I mean, that was a moment of feeling we had the support system, but we felt very alone. And baby in the car, I drove so slow. Downtown Fargo, this is when they were doing deliveries on Broadway. And I remember just getting to her house and being like, what do we do? Like, how did this, what are we going to do? And again, I had that support system. And so I can't imagine just what these ladies are going through.
I had a similar conversation with a patient this week, actually. She had her first baby, and she's like, I can't believe that tomorrow I have to take this baby home with me, and I just have to do it on my own.
Yeah.
I mean, she had a support person, but you're still like, they're your sole responsibility. And I was like, I've been a mom for 8 years. I still look at my kids and I'm like, I can't believe I'm allowed to take care of you on my own. Like, I forget to feed myself some days, and I'm allowed to have kids.
Yep.
It's
Did
so
you ever
crazy.
go through that, Jessica?
Oh yeah, a lot. I still ask myself that sometimes.
Yeah. How did I get to this point?
I ask her every year, I'm like, is it weird to have somebody have a child in their 30s? Like, is it weird that they're 29? Every single year I call her and ask her.
Yeah.
And she's like, not anymore. But I mean, after being a parent for 30 years, I'm sure it's not that weird anymore. But I still look at my kids, I'm like, I can't believe, like, especially carrying another one, I'm like, I can't believe you used to be on the inside of my body. Like, you're almost as tall as me now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my son is about shoulder height on me now. And I'm like, I used to be able to carry you in one hand.
Yep.
Like, that is... And then he just, like, walks around and, like, does normal day-to-day things. And I'm like, I can't believe that you do that. And even I recently realized I forgot to teach him how to tie his shoes. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that, like, that's something that I have to teach you how to do. Like, you don't come equipped with that knowledge.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, this summer we're tying shoes. I know. It's like the smallest thing. I was like, I can't believe I forgot to do that.
It happens. It happens. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I'll wake up and I'll be like, Amber, do our kids know how to, like, brush their own teeth or, you know, some kind of... She's like, yes. What do you think I do? And I'm like, I don't know. I just had the realization, like, I've never seen my kids tie their shoes. I've never... What do you think I'm doing? Okay.
I told her the other day, I almost started crying because I'm like, I have to potty train another child. Like, I think that is the worst part about parenting is potty training. It is awful. But I don't know. It's just like you don't think about the little things until you encounter them, and then you're like, you don't know how to do that. And I'm like, oh, I forgot to teach you that.
Yep. Yeah, we're covering all of that here at the Perry Center with these moms and their kids, and then throwing their life skills, personal life skills, into the whole mix, teaching them how to drive, teaching them how to build a resume, fill out an application, do all of these things. And so we have the unique thing of teaching them all the things that they need to teach their children while they're learning how to function as an adult at the same time, which is really unique. So in closing, we have...
I just wanted to...
Yeah.
So I think, I didn't get to this, but I think one of the most important things that you guys have done here is brought your ministry into the center. That was not a part of the Perry Center before. I think they told us about like pro-life stances, and we watched abortion videos and stuff, but they never explained the importance of our Savior. And I think bringing that ministry into the Perry Center is going to go a lot further, and you're going to see a lot of fruits from that, I believe.
I mean, without the gospel, we're nothing. And
I mean, they're breaking generational curses right now.
Yeah.
These women.
You're absolutely right. We've seen amazing conversions of, people's lives being transformed by the gospel, living life differently. I say this maybe every episode at this point, but one of the most profound things a resident ever shared was, I've always wanted to go to church, but no one ever invited me. And so when you sit in that a little bit, and she just, she wants that, but was waiting for someone just to create an invitation. And the Perry Center, we are that invitation. And so we've seen women that maybe even some churches would say she's too far gone. The gospel, I don't know. I don't think it's going to take root. And we've seen those women come to know Jesus. And we've seen, again, generations changing. And even though you guys go to different churches on the spectrum, you're raising your daughter differently and to know Jesus. And so I think that without the gospel, we're nothing. And without the gospel, our work is harder. Because what are we going to do? Our goal is to really impact a generation, and that's the biggest piece of it. And when we talk about how do we live, and God's word is very clear. Like this is how you live, and so it gives those women the moral compass. It gives them the keys to living a healthy life in Jesus, and so that is a big part of what we do. Discipleship is mandatory. We're going to sit down, we're going to ask questions, and we're going to read God's word together. We go to church on Sundays. We have small group and Bible studies. The amount of discipleship that our residents do in a week is probably way more than most normal Christians. And so just pressing into that, I understand that I only have them for a time. And what are the things that I want them to know? And the number one thing is, do you know who Jesus is? And there are women that have left sometimes where I feel maybe a little bit earlier than, maybe they've established housing and they're like, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm like, you're not ready to go. And I remember, I pull most residents into my office and say, before you leave, I want to make sure you know these things. And we'll talk about those life skill things. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And I want you to know who Jesus is. Are you sure you know who Jesus is? Because when they walk out of the door, I don't know if I'm going to see him again or not. And so our calling is to be a seed planter. That's our ministry. That's how God has called us to live our lives too, be seed planters with the gospel. And we're not always going to see the fruit of that.
That's kind of what she did with me. She didn't go to church much when I was growing up, but we did live across the street from our church. I was at Sunday school every Sunday. I went to CCD every Wednesday after school, and she would wake me up and get me dressed and send me off to church, and I'd walk to church by myself, and then I'd walk back home afterwards. And I did that for years, and she never really went with me. And then I actually started going to a non-denominational church in Wahpeton for a period of time with my aunt, which I enjoyed. But I go to church with my kids, with their class and stuff like that, and I actually enjoy going to church.
Yeah.
It's relaxing.
Yeah.
I've learned different things since, leaving the Catholic Church. I had to learn to cut tradition is what the biggest thing. This is what you do. This is what you're supposed to do. You got to check the boxes. That's how I felt growing up, was checking boxes. I got this done and I got this done. but I wasn't seeking after what I should have been seeking after. I was just checking boxes at that time because that's the way that I was raised.
Yeah.
So that's the way that I was raising those kids.
Yeah.
I think my learning in becoming a nurse, we take evidence-based practice classes, and it really focuses on knowing the difference between evidence-based practice and tradition. So I'm always on the lookout of like, am I just following tradition, or am I actually like practicing things that have evidence? And not just in my daily or in my career, but in my daily life, like in how I'm teaching my kids how to become humans and have emotional intelligence and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that. So as we close, we have potential residents. We have residents that listen to the podcast and watch it, and we have potential residents that watch it. Sometimes as they're contemplating, is this a place that I want to go? They listen to some of these stories, which have impacted many, many women. And a lot of them are like, hey, I saw this story. That is my life. You helped her. I think you can help me. And so that's been really powerful. And it's been really fun to see kind of the fruit of the podcast, I guess. And so both of you can chime in. However, if you could share something with a resident, and maybe a potential resident, and give them some encouragement of any sort, what would it be?
I guess my philosophy is don't ever let people tell you can't do it, because you can. You just have to find the determination within yourself to get it done. I feel like that's in all aspects of life, whether it's parenting or going back to school or advancing in your career. You just have to believe in yourself and believe that you can do it. And if somebody does tell you you can't, prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Go get a bunch of degrees like I did.
I love it. Jessica, what about you?
I think I look at it from a different aspect. I think as the mom that was young and scared, and if these women are truly looking for a place to go, I think this is an amazing opportunity. And I mean, because there's moms that are stuck in between, well, I want to take care of my baby, but I don't know if I can. So I know that adoption would probably be the better option. And I have a great friend that works in adoption, and she tells us great stories. But there are women that just can't find it in their heart to do it. And this opens so many doors for them to keep their children with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to create that space. And, we have women that are choosing adoption here, and we have women that are choosing to parent. And we create that space for them so that they can grow in both of those areas. And so it's a joy to serve those women. And I didn't serve you in 1995, but it's a joy that you're a part of our ministry. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
For saying yes to life and saying yes to having Asia and raising her well to know Jesus, raising her to be powerful, independent, and driven, and you did it. And if you didn't get credit or anything like that, you deserve it, because what you did was very difficult, very hard, and I'm just proud that you're part of the Perry Center story, even from 1995.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, friends, thank you for listening and watching this episode and listening to it. You can learn more about the Perry Center by going to perrycenter.org. Have a great day.